It's been over a decade now that we've witnessed online creators reach new levels of success that have been unprecedented. While the views, milestones, and impacts grow exponentially with each passing generation, there's one thing that has remained a constant. For each generation that has come, there are those who have vanished. And almost every creator that has ever existed has witnessed the spotlight fade on them. So what happens when their influence disappears? What happens when attention stops?
Have you ever woken up and had like 100,000 people like your video? It's a crazy thing. Like there's this popularity, there's this growth, like things are going really cool. Oh, and then there's money. You're building something from nothing that has a real financial future.
There's an entire influencer middle class that may have earned a couple $1,000,000 over the course of their career, but they treated that income as if the faucet would never turn off.
You make a couple $1,000,000 and then your career's over for whatever reason. That's not enough.
Especially if you make that money when you're young and it feels like there's an endless amount of it. And also,
it's not
that many social media stars have made a couple $1,000,000.
Right, and that's a lot.
I mean, it's more like you're getting $10,000 brand deals once or twice a month, which is an ungodly amount of money. And you're like, shit, this is incredible. I can live this life I'm rich.
Yeah.
And then one day it sort of dries up.
What do you do?
And what do you do?
The most prominent creators, like Casey Neistat here, are doing just fine in their social media retirement. However, he's far from wrong with his point. How many creators have you witnessed live beyond their means just because that's how they got their attention in the first place? And that materialism is just one type of example. Some, if not most creators, are gonna recognize that they have to save for the future. And what happens to these people that may think they're too famous to have a normal job, but their influence has disappeared where they can no longer make a career in entertainment?
Do you have an income right now?
I mean, I don't think I do.
I've known for the past couple years now, this is it, baby. There's no next. Like, I need to be good for life, because after this, I'm not going to be a bagger at Ralph's.
And something like this did happen to somebody I know personally. In the early 2010s, Drew Chadwick was part of a band that reached global popularity. And as the popularity of this band subsided, the band broke apart and they went off to do their separate things. I was walking with Drew along the beaches of Venice, California, as he was describing to me what it was like to be washed up. At that particular time, he was a musician, but he didn't really have an income stream. So what he did was take a catering gig to make ends meet. And at the first event he ever worked at, he was working it, and then from a distance, somebody caught his eye who was glancing over at him, and he knew he was recognized, and this induced a panic attack for him, and he ran back into the kitchen and just had to collect himself. He's like, and in knowing Drew during the period of time that I knew him, he was willing to swallow his pride and actually make a living. But you could imagine what that could have felt like, from going on tour, playing in front of thousands of people, to catering a wedding.
I think often that what if that vlog, which felt so right to me when I was making it every day for those 800 days, felt so right, was like the ultimate creative expression for me. Like, what if that was my high watermark?
And while becoming washed up for any creator is inevitable, sometimes it's welcomed with open arms.
I already consider myself retired. I'm just doing it for fun. I hate to live my life always trying to chase things, right? That just seems like a sad existence to me. I'd rather just have fun while I'm doing it.
The first generation of YouTube to make money started YouTube not even knowing that making money was an option.
When I started YouTube, there was no money in YouTube. And that's not to say that there wasn't much money in YouTube. It wasn't monetizable. There was no incentivization for YouTubers. It was just something people did for fun as a hobby.
That's where the introduction of multi-channel networks like Machinima, Revision 3, Maker Studios fit into place. For the first time ever, these networks brought the opportunity for creators to monetize their audience. And back then, in the early 2010s, it was extremely wholesome. Creators would spend their days at school or at their day job and then come home at night to put together YouTube videos.
As that was happening, I also worked at Cisco. So I kind of had two jobs. I was a YouTuber who made a video every single day, and I was also a full-time employee at Cisco. And I remember Kyle sends me a picture. He texts it, and it is a pickup truck filled with watermelons. As many watermelons as you could possibly put on a pickup truck, to the point that some surely fell off while they drove. That was like God damn. The job I was always happy with, the life I was always happy with. Suddenly it's like, can you believe that there are people doing more than this? That was one of the pivotal moments that made me want to be a full-time YouTuber. It was like, look, I get that my channel's on FPS Russia, but it's not nothing. And I think there's something here.
So imagine the first period in history where you had 16-year-olds potentially making more money than their parents. Early on, when it was such a wild west out there, people didn't know how to save their money, but the ones that actually did save were able to live modestly and retire themselves at an early age. Take White Boy 7th Street, for example. He was relevant for maybe 5 to 7 years. He saved every single dollar he ever earned. He lived well below his means while making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and investing all of it.
Do I have any regrets retiring at 30? I guess one of my only regrets is I didn't retire sooner. I love this lifestyle. It's so much better than grinding online.
He was at the top of the gaming YouTube market, and at 2.5 million subscribers and his peak behind him, he's washed up, but he's thriving. And today he's 30 years old, a multi-millionaire, and he'll never have to work for money again. While being a washed up YouTuber with a full bank account is the most ideal scenario, it doesn't always turn out that way. And for the ones that it does turn out, they understand one very special thing.
I just passed my 13th year in YouTube, and I was like, man, how many people are actively still engaged in a community where they're actively a relevant name in the community? It's gotta be a small handful of people. We know so many people who were huge at one point that either lost motivation, changed jobs.
Family.
Yeah, so it is a very improbable thing.
There's a very small amount of creators out there that have maintained their relevance for 10 plus years. They're out there, they do exist. The difference between the creators that have died off with generations and the ones that have transcended them has everything to do with how they've diversified.
Diversification matters. Logan Paul, what does he do? He's that guy who makes those crazy YouTube videos. And it's like, well, actually, no, he also has a wildly popular podcast.
You've done a fabulous job of that.
Absolutely.
You've done a fabulous job of combining media with business.
I was really scared, like, when I stopped vlogging. Like, it's a weird thing to say, because I've been very financially successful in my career, but like when you turn off that, when you turn off that income that is constant when you're posting a lot of videos, it's a scary thing to watch your income go down. And just to have the confidence in your other options is a really big deal.
It takes more than just the desire to hop from platform to platform and grow your audiences there. It takes a factor of luck and skill to do that. And leaving the relevance of platforms behind, creators change too. They don't want to be doing the same gimmick that they were 10 years ago because they've matured. Your favorite musicians are making different music than they did at the beginnings of their career because they've grown up.
People do transfer their talent from one part to the other, but you gotta allow everybody to grow and then find you again. You can't just, it's rare to maintain some sort of like consistent. PewDiePie had the exact same life cycle as a Justin Timberlake or Justin Bieber, where he made content that was geared towards younger kids and it was very hyperactive, it was cool, whatever. And then he kind of fell out of favor, took a couple years, whatever happened. And then he came back with content true to his age and his person. And all the people that were hating on him prior are like, you know what, he just makes good content.
And sometimes the growth of a creator does not jive with the growth of their audience. And that's how things break apart. The ability to grow an audience that grows with you and grows alongside your new endeavors, your new interests is the most difficult part, but that's the part that makes these particular creators stand out through the test of time. All attention and someday. Some have it ripped from them and others see it from a mile away. Which would you rather be? If you're a creator, you should prepare for that. Also consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. Thank you for watching.
If you think back, be like a movie star that has like a really good run that's like 5 or 10 years where they're all the rage. And now with social media fame, it's like here today, gone tomorrow. Just mean there's always a new kid in town coming out of nowhere.